Hi guys, welcome back to Around the Campfire with AmeriCamp. Today we have got another very exciting guest. We have our wonderful influencer and brand ambassador, Calla. She's going to be chatting us through her experience at camp, giving us some tips and tricks for some of you who might be going to camp for the first time. So just want to start off by introducing yourself and telling us which camp you went to.
Hi, I'm Calla. I went to camp for the first time in 2022, and I went to Camp Chen-A-Wanda as a lifeguard for 2 years. So I returned there in 2023 for the same role, but in 2024 I'm actually going to a new camp. I'm going to Timberlake West as a general counsellor this year, which is very exciting.
Very, very exciting. So obviously you've got lots of camp experience under your belt already, which is fantastic. It means you're going to be super clued in. You're going to have loads of really great advice to sort of give to anybody that might be listening. Do you just want to start off by telling me how was your summer or your last couple of summers?
I think my summers have been amazing so far. I think that's why everyone keeps going back. Everyone that's been to camp can agree it's an addiction. You just keep saying one more summer and then it ends up being 10 and you just can't get out of
Literally.
it. So I love my summers. I'm so grateful that I've had to spend time there, and then I get to spend it at a new camp as well.
Yeah, really, really exciting stuff. I mean, it's definitely the sort of thing that you do get the bug for, 100%. You sort of go for one summer and everybody expects it to be sort of like a one and done, I'll go for one summer. We get loads of people on the phone that are like, oh, well, I'm graduating this year. So after this summer, I'll have a real job and I won't be able to go to camp anymore. And 4 or 5 summers down the line, they're still doing it. So definitely glad that you caught the bug and it's something that you keep going back to.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you say was your favorite part of sort of your camp experiences so far then?
Oh, that's such a difficult question because every day that goes by, something different happens. My favorite part is honestly probably orientation. Which is a bit of a rogue one, but I'm quite a socialite and I love talking to all these new different people. So when it's orientation and everyone's up for talking to different people, no one's sort of split into friend groups yet. I love it. And obviously when it's camp time, sometimes you don't actually have matching timetables with people and your schedules don't line up, so you don't get to talk to as many people as possible. And orientation is just so fun. It's probably the most relaxed, fun 2 weeks I've ever had. Everyone's doing little ice-breaking games. They're doing fun activities, playing football, having s'mores around the bonfire. It's just so fun and it really gets you into the spirit for camp.
I think there's something really special about orientation, especially because you're kind of not expecting it. When you sign up, you're just thinking working with the kids, doing your normal camp jobs, but having that week where you're actually properly bonding, I think it is such a formative time for making those friendships and sort of making those connections. And it's always nice to have a week to get over the jet lag before you actually start having to deal with the kids.
The first couple of days are bad.
Oh, 100%. You do feel rough for the first couple of days because it's always worse going out there than coming back. I always find you get way more jet lagged sort of when you arrive there. And then when I come back, I'm tired, but I'm nowhere near as bad. So yeah, it's nice to actually have that time to get over that a little bit and settle in a little bit too. And yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it because I think it's something that not a lot of people realize happens at camp, sort of having that week or two to actually settle in. It is very fun, even if it is unexpected at times. Definitely hard agree with that one. So obviously it's been a little while since you had your sort of first summer at camp, but before you went out for that first summer, did you have any specific sort of expectations, and did camp meet those expectations? Was there anything that surprised you?
I think I had more negative expectations than I should have. I think so. I thought every day was going to be the same. I was a lifeguard. I thought every single day I was going to be lifeguarding on the waterfront and nothing was going to change each day. But it just wasn't like that at all. Something different happened each day that you weren't expecting. And especially when you're a first year, each day is new and you have to take each day as it is because something different will happen. For example, a random day in my first year, everyone was expecting it, but I wasn't. This corn guy came in, and for snack call, we all got corn on the cob, and it was just so the spirit was so high, and it's so random, but it's just you wouldn't expect that for a normal day of lifeguarding.
Yeah, people do sort of. I think because you look at the website and stuff, and it gives you a rundown of the typical day in the life. but it is very hard to sort of like capture how different every day is and how many like weird surprises get thrown at you. Even down to things like a lot of people don't realize that like camps do trips, and you can like go out and do trips with your camp, and you'll have like certain special guests at the camp and things like that. So yeah, like I'm glad you were like pleasantly surprised and that camp like exceeded your expectations. I mean, clearly, because you're going back for summer 3, so it's clearly exceeded your expectations, which is fab news. But yeah, obviously, you've sort of been hired for like 2 different camps now. So what was sort of the hiring process like? Was there anything that sort of like surprised you? Was it like pretty smooth sailing for you?
So it was honestly pretty smooth sailing both times that I applied. So when I got my camp my first year, it was actually the first camp that reached out to me, and I applied back in September of 2021. So I was relatively early in the application process, but it was the first camp that reached out to me, and I just loved the look of it. So I think I was fully hired by maybe October, start of November. So I was on it quite early, and then just gone, I actually applied to a few different camps, but my sister went to Timberlake West way back in 2013. So I thought I would, continue the family tradition. And she had an amazing time there. So I thought I would try my luck. And I applied to them, and then I applied to them directly. So that was through the camp website that I applied to them with. And they got back within a week, and then I was hired within about 3 weeks, I think.
Amazing. Yeah, so you've had like a really nice, speedy, easy process for hiring, which is always really nice. I think, we sort of, when we're onboarding people, we do say to them like, oh, you don't have to take that first offer. And I think a lot of people kind of expect that first offer isn't going to be the one, but because of the way that like our system works, a lot of the time it just is. And I'm glad you sort of had that immediately like click with a camp, and obviously being hired early is such a win as well, because it means that everything is much less stressful. You've not got to sort of rush all of the documentation and stuff, which is fab as well. So yeah, glad that the hiring process was nice and smooth for you both. That is fab news.
Yeah, very lucky.
So with your camp that you've just been to for 2 summers, obviously all camps have slightly different traditions, weird things that they do. So what was your favourite camp tradition?
So I've got 2 main ones. One's a bit rogue, and the other one's I think happens at most traditional camps. So I'll go with the traditional one. I love Girls Sing. Love it. The spirit is just so high. You can't replicate it anywhere else. For those who don't know, Girls Sing is like where the girls' side of camp get together in their divisions, and they perform dances, singing, acting around a sort of theme, I would say. So, for example, the MIDI division at my camp, they did MIDI Kart this year, which is their take on Mario Kart. So they're all in like Mario Kart costumes, and it's just adorable, and everyone's cheering each other on, and it's a big competition, and it's really, really entertaining to watch actually. And then the other one is slightly more my camp specific one, but one of the directors was working very close with like the NBA, the basketball. So we had 2 NBA players come in. They weren't NBA yet, but they came for like a little basketball day. They had their own basketball league, like the Ones Basketball League or something like that, OBL. So they play basketball like 1-on-1, and they would just be there all day. This happened 2 years in a row with 2 different guys playing all day basketball with the kids, going around signing things for them, competitions, things like that. And it was just another random day at camp that happened to be different.
Yeah, I love it's one of my like favorite things to hear about is those sort of like weird celebrity encounters that you have at camp. I guess a lot of people don't realize that like a lot of the time celebrities are like really tied into camp. There are loads of celebrities who like went to camp themselves. There are loads of celebrities that like send their kids to camp. Obviously Zara a couple of episodes ago was talking about how Hank Azaria's kids went to her camp. One of us in the office, one of the team, went to Camp Mariah, which was like funded by Mariah Carey, so they got to meet Mariah Carey.
Jeez, yeah, it's crazy.
You get like a little glimpse of the fame and glamour out in the US, which is always really fun.
In the middle of nowhere.
And yeah, oh, absolutely, like literally in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, where have these famous people come from? What's going on? It always like throws you a little bit. But yeah, like your comment about Girls Sing as well, it's so nice, sort of. yeah, having that sort of like team spirit, and everyone, you know, it's a competition. Like obviously there are a lot of competitions at camp, but I think obviously you get like the competitive edge, but like at the end of it all, everyone is just supporting each other. Everybody just wants everyone else to like do amazing. And I think that's the really lovely thing about those competitions is, you know, you get winners, you get losers, but everyone's like supporting each other, and I just think that's so lovely. So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. So yeah, obviously heard a little bit about kind of your camp experience, but we mustn't forget the travel afterwards as well. That's a really nice bonus too. So have you sort of been traveling both summers after camp? Whereabouts have you sort of been during those travel periods?
So my first summer, I did 3 weeks of traveling afterwards, but my second summer, I just wasn't feeling it, so I just went home. And that's perfectly fine. If you don't want to go traveling, I feel like you shouldn't be pushed into it. You can go home, have time with your family. It was a really nice way to actually relax after camp because it is so intense at the end of the day. But my first summer, we did a big trail of the US. I went with the first girls I actually met at camp. We were on the same flight over.
Oh wow.
And we just stayed friends the entire summer, and then we went mainly together, but we would meet up with different people, different groups in different cities. So we obviously went to New York after camp. I feel like most people do if they're in that area. My camp actually arranged free coaches from our camp to New York City. So all the staff were in New York at the same time. You could literally walk down Times Square and bump into like one of the camp nurses. It was crazy. So we spent 5 days there just doing touristy things, seeing like Statue of Liberty, literally everything, Rockefeller Building. And then we went up to Boston for a couple of days, which was really fun actually, but we definitely didn't spend enough time there. We went around Harvard and then, yeah, we didn't spend enough time. We left, we were meant to spend 3 days there, but we left relatively late from New York. So we only got one night and then a day, and then we had to leave early on the third day to go to Washington. Yeah. So we only really got a day, and it was raining, which was annoying. But
oh, that always sucks. Yeah, you get the like weather. It's always the way, isn't it?
And then we spent about 3-4 days in Washington with one of the girls that we met at camp who lives in Washington. So we got to stay at her house, which I highly recommend if you do end up making American friends out there. Try and stay around their house because one, it's so fun. You kind of get to live the American life when you like stay with them rather than in a hostel or a hotel. And then they're local, so they get to show you all the cool places that you probably wouldn't go to if you're just looking up things to do on Google. So we stayed there for a couple of days, and then we were meant to go to Phoenix, but we cancelled our flights last minute and decided to go to Vegas instead.
Love it.
Yeah, so we went to Vegas for a couple of days, which is all the glitz and glamour, but it's so overwhelming and it's so fun. You've got to go if you can. It's such an experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved Vegas when I went. Like, I wasn't expecting to, because I was expecting it to be like a little bit like tacky and a little bit much, but it is actually just like so much fun. And obviously the fact that you guys kind of went last minute impulsively, that adds to the Vegas vibe. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. It's so Vegas of us. And then we went to San Francisco. We got a flight over to San Francisco. That was probably my favorite city. I loved San Francisco. It was so nice. It was so California. It was just, everyone was so friendly as well. The only thing I would say, it was really, really cold. It was freezing when we went. It was like really windy. And we never saw the Golden Gate Bridge. Not once.
That sucks. You've like not even gone and got the classic image of like everybody stood like by the Golden Gate Bridge.
We got our bikes up to it, and then it was just foggy, so we just got pictures in front of the fog.
Literally,
you can almost see it,
like,
but
just,
you know,
just a little bit. If you look like really,
you win
really
some,
hard,
you lose
can,
some.
Like, get a glimpse of it. To be fair, it was like that when I went to San Francisco as well. It was like really, really windy. I guess because it's like by the water. You don't really like expect it because obviously it's like California and it's always hot in California. But yeah, I remember it being like really windy and getting really cold when I was there because I was working on my tan, so I had like a little like strappy top on, and I was like, I'm gonna get so tanned. I was just freezing all day, and just absolutely kicking myself that I didn't like bring a jumper or something.
Yeah, so that's one no. If you're planning on going to San Francisco, definitely bring a jumper. That's not one to forget.
100%.
And then we got a bus down to LA. Spent about
Amazing.
5 days in LA actually, and I've always wanted to go to LA. I think it's just because it's, you know, I grew up watching Hannah Montana, things like that. It's just like in the media, you know, you always just want to go see what they're living like out there. So we stayed on Hollywood Boulevard in a really nice hostel for a couple of days, met up with different people. We spent one day at Universal Studios, which was really, really fun, just like relaxing and going on all these rides. We spent a day at Venice Beach and Santa Monica Pier.
Nice, yeah.
And then there was also a day at Beverly Hills, like Rodeo Drive, that sort of area.
Yeah.
And it was just really, really fun. And then we went down to San Diego, went to San Diego Zoo, went to the beach. That was only for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we flew back to New York and then back to England, unfortunately.
yeah. After all of the like nice weather, especially going from like California to home, that's such a jarring experience, because you've gone from like all of the like sunshine, everyone's so nice, you get back to the UK and it's like raining and everyone's miserable, and it's like, oh, I just want to be back in California. That sounds amazing though, like you really packed a lot into 3 weeks. Obviously that's a really nice thing about the travel period, and obviously like chatting to you about it is really nice because you've kind of got both sides of that coin, where you've had like a really full-on like really jam-packed travel period where you've ticked off all those bucket list places, but obviously as well, you know, the fact that after your second summer you did just go home. I think a lot of people do sometimes feel that pressure to go traveling, and it's a great opportunity, but if you don't want to, or if you don't have the time to, you don't have to. You've still been at camp for like 2 months, so you know it's
exactly,
not like
yeah,
you're missing out massively. But yeah, obviously really nice that you sort of got both sides of that. Are you planning on going traveling after this summer at camp, or are you just going to come straight home again?
Well, I've booked my flights back for the 5th of September and my camp ends on the 16th of August. So fingers crossed, I will do a little bit of travelling.
Yeah.
Couple of weeks travelling. We'll see who I meet out there and where they want to go. But on my bucket list this time is Nashville. Really want to go to Nashville. I've heard that it's really, really good. Heard it's like the hidden gem of the US.
100%.
So hoping to persuade some people to go to Nashville with me.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the other really great thing about like going traveling after camp is like you can go with a really specific itinerary, but you can also kind of just like go out there and go with the flow and kind of see what happens. When I went to camp, I actually like didn't book my flight back. I just like booked a one-way flight out there. And I was like, I'm just gonna see what happens. And then I booked my flight back sort of like just before like the last couple of days of camp, once I actually like knew what I was doing. But it meant that I like literally just went with the flow. Like anytime somebody said to me like, oh, I'm going here like on these dates, I'm like, I'll be there, I'll meet you there. And I was like slowly filling up my diary with like all the different things I could do. But yeah, also your bit of advice about like going and staying with US staff, 100% like the best piece of advice ever, because free place to stay, often they'll cook for you, which is great. And yeah, you get that proper like tour guide experience as well, so you've not got to pay for one of those like tour buses or like a tour guide around the city or something. You just get your friend to do it for free and then maybe like buy them some dinner afterwards, and it's a win. Well, yeah, you must be so excited, especially like the weather today. It's absolutely just raining here today, so I bet you're just counting down the days till you're back in the sunshine.
Yeah, not long now, definitely.
Not long, only a few more months to go. But yeah, sort of coming up to the summer again, obviously a lot of people are in that position where they're really getting excited about it, but it is nearly time to go out. This is sort of like the peak time of year for people getting a little bit nervous before they go out to camp. So do you have any advice for either people who are already on board or somebody who might be thinking of sort of signing up before applications close?
I think being nervous is completely normal. You're going out of the country to a place that you've never been before, usually with people you don't know. So you're bound to feel a little bit nervous at times. I think my best advice is to turn that nervousness into excitement, because it's almost like the same emotion, you know what I mean? It's just one's a little bit more scared than the other. Instead of being nervous, you know, go out and maybe go charity shopping or go to Boots and try and find things that you need to get for camp to try and build up that excitement. And then before you know it, you'll be heading over there. Maybe if you are quite nervous, see if they have any Facebook groups of like the members, any group chats, get talking to other people that are going to the same camp as you, because that'll ease your nerves if they're in the same position as well.
100%. I think going shopping is like a really good piece of advice, because that's always when I got like most excited, is when I was like buying stuff, and I had like a corner of my room that was all of my stuff for camp, and then like every time I looked at it I was like, oh my god, it's nearly time to go to camp. But yeah, like definitely like nervousness is so normal, and like it is just all so worth it. That's what I always say to people, is it's like worth all of those like moments of like, oh, I'm kind of scared, or I'm going out and I don't know anyone and I've never been there before. It's so worth it once you get there and you settle in, and before you know it, you're upset because you're leaving. So, well, yeah, it's been really, really lovely sort of hearing about your experience, and hearing how excited you are for the summer. Before we wrap up, was there anything else you wanted to say to people? Maybe promote your socials a little bit?
I think the last thing I'd want to say is you're going to have an amazing summer. So just settle those nerves. Before you know it, you'll be on a flight over there, and then you'll feel on top of the world when you're there. So just keep fighting. You'll get there eventually. And it'll be the best summer of your life. I promise you that. But yeah, my socials are Calla Young, on everything. Mainly TikToks. I post about camp. If you have any questions, definitely reach out to me and I'll get back to you about them.
Well, thank you so much. It's been really lovely having a chat, and really excited to have more of a chat when you're back and hear all about your summer as a general counsellor.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been great.
Amazing. And thank you guys so much for listening. We will look forward to chatting to you again very soon.